Sure.
Hey, Coach.
You all right?
Good.
All right, everybody ready?
Hey, before you get to the tough questions, Mr. DJ Jeffries getting your uniform retired. Do you remember the first time you got your uniform retired, and what initiated you to recruit DJ in the first place?
Obviously, yeah, I remember when my jersey was retired. It's a beautiful thing because, you just went to high school just to play. And, I was blessed to have an unbelievable career, and to have your jersey retired when no one else could wear that number, it's a great thing to happen for you. And for this happening to DJ tonight, I think that he shouldn't take this lightly. That's the school showing their appreciation. And the reason why I recruited DJ Jeffries is because he's a special player. And that's the main reason why he's getting his jersey retired tonight.
What have you been doing the last 48 hours here?
We've just been getting back to the old school style of, getting after it and not letting our offense dictate our defense. We've been pretty good defensively. We look at that one game and say, man, that was a horrible night. Let's get us behind us and let's try to, not carry any of that over to the next game and just be who we really are.
Is that what you're really worried about? Like, you can't let one loss turn into two, no matter how gruesome that loss was?
Yeah, obviously you never want to lose by one, but to lose by 40 is just a situation where you're shooting bad shots, some bad, and you're shooting some good and not making, and then you're letting that carry over to the other end. I mean, that's a young-minded person, a young team. You got to always defend. The defense is what we won with on the road before, even though we made some bashes at the right time. But defensively, man, we could never ever show up like that ever again. We didn't have any fight for the first time this year. It was one game, so the boys feel the same way, and we'll get it behind us.
Is this another case of game plan not executed, or is there something different to change up here?
No, we over-prepared the guys. It's just, like I said, I don't know if they took Tulsa for granted because of the name. Because a lot of these kids, they've never heard of Tulsa as far as having a basketball team. You can never disrespect anybody on this level. And Tulsa showed while they're tied for first right now with Houston, and you can't take anybody lightly. So that's what I feel like happened with the young guys.
Have you gotten the response you were hoping for? I know you probably won't know for sure until tomorrow, but do you feel like you're getting the response and the sort of wake-up call that you were hoping for?
Got the response in practice yesterday for sure. Got the energy that we needed, and I'm sure it's going to carry over tomorrow. I mean, the kids were embarrassed. I mean, obviously they were in shell shock after the game because they couldn't understand what just happened. But if you're not going to protect the defensive end and you're shooting, you shot the shots that they gave you. You didn't take what you wanted. And all night long watching their film, just seeing all the areas where we had open shots, and they did a great job. You got to give them credit. They confused our guys a lot on the offensive end. We still had 20 turnovers, and then we did nothing about it on the defensive end.
Has there been one voice in the locker room that kind of got you guys together? Because sometimes kids, they listen to their coach, but somebody goes one ear after the other. Has there been one guy in the locker room that kind of gets you guys together?
I would say probably Precious and Alex. Those two guys are the most conscious when it comes to, hey, we can't ever let this happen again.
You said the players were shell shocked. What about you?
Well, as a coach, you never want to see your guys not fight. I mean, come on, man, I'm competitive. Not ever going into a game feeling like, I knew the zone was going to be tough, but the other end is where you win. And it didn't matter what we said to them in the huddle, what we said at halftime. They just couldn't get out of their own way, and it's just part of one game. We'll chalk it up as one game and move past it. As long as it never happens again, we're good, and we'll show that tomorrow.
With the hype coming into this season and some of the events that have kind of transpired over this year with obviously the loss of Wiseman and then the loss of these last few games here, have you guys had to tweak your expectations for the rest of the year at all? We're
still the same team. We're still going to play hard. We're still going to believe in who we are. Obviously, you lose a potential number one pick in the middle of the season. What else are you going to do? You do have to adjust some because he was a big part of what was going on, but who we are, we're not changing that.
But your goals still?
Our goals are still the same.
Can you talk a little bit about what some of the things that you did in practice as far as, how you got after them, or just a little bit more concentration?
Well, the main thing we did was we did 45 minutes of defense. Straight defensive stance where we did slow walking stance, medium stance, fast speed stance, closeouts, box outs, communication. We went back to the old school way of the way it's supposed to happen. You got to protect the defensive end at all costs because shots aren't going to fall. We're showing that shots don't always fall, but we've won with our defense.
Penny, you can drill like that defensively. What can you do with the turnover issues? Some of these unforced errors.
It's just the kids just trying way too much. But what we'll do is we'll taper it to only three things that we want to do for the game, and the ball is going to be in specific people's hands. So hopefully we'll take advantage of what we need, and whatever we don't have there, we'll be smarter about it. It's just being smart. A lot of these are unforced.
At times, do you sense playing hero ball instead of team ball, like one person trying to?
Well, this is a young team, and a lot of guys have been the man, and they're going to try themselves to try to bring the team back, and it just happens. And on this level, you got to do it as a unit, and that's going to happen. That's happened a bunch from game one all the way until now, where some guys are going to try to do more than what they should offensively, and that leads to turnovers. But that's a part of what's going on, man. You want to keep the freedom in the game, but also you want to understand what we're trying to do, and more specifically, you want to understand what the defense is giving you. You have to take that. A lot of times we pass up open shots, drive in, and turn the ball over. You got to take those open shots.
Have the guys seemed eager to get back on the court, like in practice? Can you tell?
Well, yeah. I mean, you know, the last game you play, you lose by 40 points. You're ready to get to the next game.
Hey, this is the second game of the coaches versus cancer. What's your thoughts on that, and what type of shoes you gonna wear tomorrow?
Well, no, we're wearing the same shoes. We're wearing my foam posits, shattered backboards. But, you know, obviously it hits home to me with Desmond Merriweather, the guy that I coached with back in Leicester Middle. So, and so many people that I know have been affected, or friends have been affected by cancer or whatever. So, to have this fraternity of coaches bonding together for that cause is great.
What do you see in SMU? What are they?
A lot of athletes. They went out and got some transfers. Got some guys that are hungry to win, and the guys from last year coming back because they got embarrassed last year, because SMU has been kind of a staple in this conference for a minute, and especially when Coach Brown was there. And now getting the older guys there and getting some transfers, they're playing pretty good basketball.
Are you gonna focus more on your program this game, or are you gonna focus more on SMU?
No, I'm focusing on us. It's time to get back to just pride. It's just what this city is, what this team is, and who we are. It's about the pride, man. It doesn't matter about an X or no. It's just going out there and just playing your heart out.
Psychologically, in that regard, they were embarrassed, as you just said. What do you think, when they come out tomorrow, will be the mindset?
Energy and hustle. That's it.
When you look at the last game, it appeared that Precious only got just so many touches, and he went a long stretch and didn't see the ball. Is there going to be more concentrated focus on running the offense through him?
Well, they had a matchup zone, and obviously Precious has probably never seen that before. He didn't know how to attack the zone. Early on we got some plays. Credit to them, they adjusted to him. We kept telling him where the open spots were, but you got to find them. And then he had about 4 or 5 finishes in there that he got his ball blocked. So those are opportunities for him to score. So it's not like nobody's trying to get Precious the ball or DJ the ball or anybody the ball. It's just when you do get it, take advantage of your opportunities, and that's it.
You think the offense needs to go through him more?
It has been. Yeah, that's why we've been winning. He's been showing, and then he's an offensive rebounder as well. So he has to attack the glass. He has to block shots on the defensive end. He has to rebound. He has to get out and run. We ask a lot of him. But obviously the ball has been going through him. And when they played the matchup zone, they just couldn't figure out a way to get it done.
When you go through a loss like that, do you want it to humble the guys, or do you want it to make them even, I guess, more confident, in terms of have a resolve? What's the feeling you want them to take away from that game?
I want embarrassment feeling. That way, this will never happen again. This will never happen to us again. And then look at themselves in the mirror and say, this is where I was a part of me, my part in this whole entire thing. Whether it was energy, whether it was game plan, whether it was attention to detail on a certain player, how we wanted to run the offense, and the reads that they missed. Because we watched film at halftime, man, we missed a bunch of reads for easy baskets and lobs and just didn't take advantage of it. But like I said, you got to give Tulsa credit. The energy that they played with, the high hands, and making the zone look packed, even though it wasn't, it just confused our kids. Even though we prepared them, they still have to go out there and play the game.
Last year, when the play would break down late in the shot clock, you could give it to Jeremiah.
Yeah.
He could find you a bucket. Do you have a guy like that on this team?
We do not. We haven't found that guy yet. Jeremiah was special. That was his 4th year, and he was a guy that was very tough to guard, and then he had the heart of big of a line. He always played with pride, so that's how he played. We haven't, with it being freshmen and sophomores playing all the minutes right now, kind of tougher on them.
How much does your offense miss having that guy?
Well, you look at the teams around the country that are doing well, they have a guy on their team that can do that. And it's doing it by committee with our team. But you do miss having one guy that can get you a basket whenever you need one, and that's what Jeremiah could do.
If there was a guy who that could be, maybe at the end of this year, who is the guy that can create at the end that's got the big heart?
Well, I mean, you got to talk about Alex Lomax. He's a guy that he should be able to get to the line more. I'm challenging him on getting to the free throw line more. And DJ, if he comes on with it, DJ's a guy that's hard to guard. He can handle, he can shoot threes, he can get by anyone. His confidence continues to go up. He's going to be a tough guard in March.
Before the Tulsa game, you knew that they were going to throw that zone defense
For
at
sure.
you, and they were.
Yeah, I knew.
Right. And they were effective in doing so. Now, other teams may likely do the same thing. How prepared?
They can't play the zone the same way as Tulsa. Tulsa, that's who they are. That's Frank Hay. That's him and his credit in the zone. There's been plenty of people that's played the zones, and we haven't had that problem. So, you know, they just have to get used to it. When you watch film, you see all the openings. You know, their first time seeing that on the road, they took it for granted, and it came back to bite us in the butt.
Hey, when the kind of player
It's
you
been a long time. But is this like the most trying sort of on-court, in basketball set of circumstances that you've ever been a part of?
Well, when you got all freshmen on this high level, for sure it is, because they're learning on the fly, and that's what people don't want to give them credit for. They are learning. They're doing really well this year. You know what I mean? Like considering, and it's a successful season. We still have an opportunity to win conference, and man, they're learning on the fly. So it's frustrating to us most times, but then when we look at it, they're trying their hardest, and if they mess up, we're going to keep coaching them. We're trying to get them ready for March.
Speaking of that frustration, how tough is it to try to get Boogie going? And you know, you talked about shortening your rotation in the lineup. His production's been low. How do you get him back to where you recruited him to be?
Well, I mean, that's on Boogie. We're here to support everything that he needs to get done. Open shots he's got to make. Then he has to be more aggressive off the dribble. And then defensively, he has to be locked in. We're doing everything that we need to do to support him. He just needs to get it done. It just is what it is.
Got time for one more?
You said they're learning. I guess if you had to put a number on it, maybe a percentage number, at what point do you think they are where they get it, they completely understand it?
I don't think they'll ever fully get it as freshmen. Honestly, I mean, we're still talking about stuff we talked about in June right now. You got to think about it. These kids come from different walks of life, different coaches, and they've never seen any of this stuff. And all freshmen leaning on each other and sophomores. So they're doing pretty well. Believe me, everybody has this problem around the country. We just have the youngest team in the country.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Coach.